But it's time now for Media Watch. James Creedon is in the studio. Hi, James.
Hi, Belle.
And you've been looking at the online coverage of this Italian election that we've been talking about.
That's right. I'll start with the editorial of Le Monde, which is calling it the Italian threat and the Italian threat for Europe, because of course with several different populist formations, in particular the far right, the article, the editorial talks about a catastrophic scenario as viewed by Brussels, which would be a coalition, a right-wing coalition with the Northern League coming ahead of Berlusconi's party, in which case they would have a lot of influence. They talk about how Italy is kind of a country which has all of the symptoms of Western democracies in crisis, in particular because it's been left dealing with the huge spike in migration, almost really not quite alone, but certainly there has been a lack of European solidarity. 600,000 refugees arriving in Italy since 2013, and there hasn't really been a successful effort on behalf of the EU to sort of spread that across the EU. So there is this notion at large in Italy that Europe is not loyal and that its efforts as a country are not really paying off, and that is kind of widespread in Italian public opinion. A couple of reports from foreign media. This is the New York Times, and there is one report here by Gaia Pianigiani, who went to her home village in Tuscany, and this village is called Castellina. Now, there was only one of her classmates when she was growing up, who was from somewhere else, and that somewhere else was actually just 60 miles away. And now 23 second graders in the school have parents from Afghanistan, Albania, Bosnia, Macedonia, Morocco, Pakistan or Tunisia. This is the new Italy, writes Gaia. And another part of that, the other side of the coin, if you like, is a huge migration outward of Italians who have college diplomas or degrees. So Italians in their 20s, 30s and 40s who've earned degrees are leaving villages and small towns. So it's really a huge shift in the population of many different parts of Italy. And even in Tuscany here, where it's a leftist stronghold for decades, where Italians have opened their homes to migrants, it is putting a lot of pressure, I suppose, on that sort of progressive outlook. And our own Benjamin Dodman travelled to Fermo in the kind of heartland of Italy, if you like, where, again, centrist politicians, usually in the city hall and elsewhere in the town hall, but you're seeing an increasing spike in people saying we're living in a racist state, a state that's racist against Italians. He met one person in Fermo saying that, and that's actually straight out of the talking points of the Northern League, whose leader Matteo Salvini has been saying recently at rallies, "I'm sick of seeing immigrants in hotels and Italians sleeping in cars." So this is sort of really seeping into the popular consciousness. And one thing that Benjamin Dodman speaks about in this article is how official figures in Italy show a decrease in crime in recent years, yet polls are saying a growing number of Italians feel unsafe and they're linking crime to immigration. And in fact, a report by the European Observatory of Security last year suggested a link between this perception and just blanket coverage in Italian TV journalism of crime-related stories, which actually this kind of blanket crime-related stories coverage on Italian TV dwarfs what you see in other EU countries. So certainly the media have a role to play in the misperception that crime is linked to immigration.
And of course another big issue in creating misperceptions is fake news, which has been a feature of this election.
It certainly has, and theatlantic.com have been looking at that. Just one story, for example, there was a 9-year-old Muslim girl hospitalised after being sexually assaulted by her 35-year-old husband in the northeastern city of Padua. Totally fake, spread all over social media. Facebook has been enlisted. We won't go into all the details, but as we saw in France and elsewhere, there's been real pressure on Facebook initially to put in place measures to flag fake news and to have it decreased or kind of put down the list in the algorithms. They've even brought in an independent fact-checking organisation called Pagella Politica, which is actually working with Facebook to flag these stories. So it's actually, a pretty progressive effort in Italy to enlist the help of Facebook and social media to fight against the spreading of fake news online.
Absolutely. A day without Facebook, though, International Day Without Facebook?
That's right. It's more of a
Strange.
feature. It is. Well, it's the 28th of February in France is an International Day Without Facebook, and the idea is to have a digital detox, and there's a whole load of articles on the media. We don't have enough time to go into it, sort of encouraging people to just switch off for one day.
So we can enlist Facebook to help, but also switch it off. Remember when to switch it off.
Bit of a contradiction, but,
Thank you very much for that wrap-up of
Thanks,
the
Belle.
media.